Okay, we're now live. Welcome to Dorsey's Resource. Welcome to another session. The topic of this video is going to be some new info on the GCR reset question mark. Also, how a fake copyright enforcement claim is trying to shut the channel down. Just wanted to give you guys an update. I'm your host, John Dorsey. Welcome to Dorsey's Resource, one of the original channels, the larger channel. I just wanted to go live, do an update. Let me, as a reminder, shut this down on my phone. Forgot about that. The distractions. Let me just turn all that off for the time being. I have to keep up with the times and everything. Okay. So once again, the topic of this video is going to be some new info on the GCR reset. GCR stands for Global Currency Reset. Also, I wanted to really discuss first how a fake copyright enforcement claim potentially is trying to shut the channel down. A friend of mine doesn't think it's legitimate, but I'm not exactly sure. But I at least wanted to be transparent with you all and let you all know what's going on. By the way, this channel had already been censored, but actually it was a smaller channel that I used to have that controlled this channel. But this channel is actually my larger channel, and the only reason I can still do videos from this channel is through the StreamYard software I had discovered after the fact. But I wanted to let you guys know I got an email not too long ago, sometime this month, by the way, maybe around 10 days ago, sometime, that someone claimed that I used copyrighted music that belonged to them, that they were the writer or composer in a song. And I've only used music in only one of the videos that I could think of offhand that I've ever done. By the way, I'm gonna show you guys what I see. I'm gonna turn my camera around so you guys can see my email. I'll read it because I want to be transparent with you all. Also, I want to thank you guys that continue to follow the channel, that continue to rock with Dorsey's Resource. I appreciate it. Those of you all who stay consistent, that's been with me throughout all the years. I've been on YouTube officially since like 2014. So I'm a legacy content creator, by the way. Even though I don't go live, I don't do videos as much anymore. By the way, I'm still around. I said I'll let you guys know if anything changes. But allegedly, with this channel, may be in danger, potentially, by the way, that allegedly this email, the person saying they're the composer of the music, the website it took me to seem to be legitimate, but what clued me in why I'm suspicious, and a friend of mine that actually has IT skills, I have a couple friends, he stated that this is could be a potentially a fake copyright claim. And what clued me in potentially is when I told him the information said it was John Doe Productions. They didn't even give a specific name. And then it wanted me to click on this link basically to find out, because I replied to the email and I said, which video are you talking about? Because they said they were going to report me to YouTube for whatever, and to go about trying to handle this in a way. And my friend thinks that it's scam artists that have gone to a whole nother level, that's basically trying to come up with genius or divisive ways. You guys hear about them all the time. I'm very good at detecting them, by the way. I don't really use my Yahoo email address. I have multiple email addresses, but my Yahoo and my Gmail, I get a lot of those spam ones, but especially my Yahoo, I'm used to getting emails where they'll try to make official logo, make it seem like it's coming from PayPal or Chase or Bank of America, try to make it official. But this is very divisive, whoever these people are, because they're not even given a name, and they're claiming it appears, the website appears to be legitimate, but what clued me in why it may be a scam, because when I clicked on the link, it wanted me to put in this code to basically see whichever video they were claiming that they said they were contacting YouTube to claim that I used music in a particular video. And the only video I ever used any music, and I showed a friend of mine, it was actually royalty free. I wouldn't have never even used music. And this is why I'm gonna let you guys know I never really wanted to get into using music, because I knew these very types of things could happen. I've even heard from other legacy content creators. One guy that's actually not on YouTube anymore said a lot of people were trying to use this scheme to file false copyright claims to take his channel down. By the way, I don't know if this is something, you know, similar, or what's going on, or this is actually con artists or scammers, by the way. But I'll, you know, I may eventually find out. But I'm gonna turn my camera around to show you guys the email so you guys can see. By the way, I'm gonna go to the email. Hopefully you guys can see. Let me see if I can pull up. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see it really well. I'll come back to the screen, but it says it's from Zoe.Wooters3 at telnet.b. It says, hello, I'm the composer of the music used in your video without permission. A report has been sent to the rights company. Please await an email from TD Abuse, hoping to resolve this amicably. Take care. I replied to the message stating, I'm actually reading from the email message they sent, and I'm asking, I said, please let me know which video in particular. Just to let you know, my original YouTube channel associated with this channel was taken down. I currently do not have access to the back office for my YouTube channel this channel that has over 8,000 subscribers. This means that I am unable to log into the YouTube settings account associated with this email, because what YouTube will do when they took my smaller channel down is that I tried to disconnect it. That's a whole nother story. To me, Google is not user friendly. It was very complicated. I did speak to some of their tech support a while ago and trying to rectify the situation. They were claiming they were going to help, but they were not. They didn't follow back up with me. By the way, just give you guys a heads up. It was very complicated and complex, by the way. So I said YouTube blocked me from being able to access it after the main smaller channel, which controlled this channel, was removed. So YouTube would have to remove whichever video you are referencing. The only reason I can still upload videos on this particular channel is because of a software I used to record videos, which I'm referring to the StreamYard, which I'm on right now. By the way, I'm on using the free version. So they sent a reply email came from DM. It says DMCA. Okay, let me see. It says, dear content creator, we are reaching out on behalf of the TTW team representing the legitimate owners of the copyrighted music used in your YouTube video without proper authorization. It has come to our attention that your video contains segments of our original music for which you do not hold a license or any official permission. Such use violates exclusive intellectual property rights and contradicts international copyright law. It says review of the infringement for your convenience. It says you may review the specific instances of infringement on our platform. See, this is another thing. It says on their platform. So I clicked on this link right here. I don't know if you guys can see it. Put the camera up, hold it up, you know, some more. It says the report details the exact segments where the violation occurred, along with the links to the corresponding videos. We aim to resolve this matter amicably and appreciate your understanding and cooperation. It says, please confirm receipt of this message and inform us of the actions you will take at your earliest convenience. Please note that all corrective actions should be completed within 24 hours of receiving this notice. Failure to comply will compel us to take further steps, including filing an official copyright infringement complaint with YouTube, which may result in the removal of your video, a strike against your channel, restrictions on your account, and potential termination of your channel for repeated violations. It says pursuing legal remedies to claim damages caused by unauthorized use of intellectual property. Thank you for your prompt attention to this matter. Sincerely, TTW team. So from there, turn the camera around. Uh, I didn't reply from that point on. I just did, like I say, I downloaded the link, and what ended up happening, it appears as though it was some type of malware that got installed somehow, which leads me to believe this was scammy. This was not legitimate, by the way. But I'll wait. I just wanted to just keep you guys on notice because it's some funny things going on. I'm going to get to the GCR stuff, and it's the reason why I don't really do videos talking about the dinar anymore. You know, that private event that I attended some years ago, the head person said a while ago when he found out that I was doing YouTube videos, he suggested back then they wanted me to take all the videos down that had anything to do with the Iraqi dinar. And mind you, it wasn't as many people that knew about it now. It's the whole so-called GCR community, wealth transfer community, some people call it. GCR stands for Global Currency Reset, and not to be confused with the Great Reset. That's something else, but that's kind of like tied in. But there's a difference between the Kabbalists, the evil ruling class elite, versus some say as a good cabal or whatever. To me, it's kind of an oxymoron contradiction. But there is a global syndicate that is very wicked. That's in the ruling class elite. That's at the very top. There's another group. There are other competing groups out here, but they're not as wicked or evil. That's a whole nother topic of discussion that I won't get into that for the time being. But I just want to be transparent to let you guys know this is the message that I had got. And so if you guys see, just be forewarned if the same thing happens, like when you guys click on the link for my older videos, that link to my smaller channel that was connected to this channel, and you guys saw they took it down. Don't be surprised, because I do hear indication from private sources that the dinar is close. Allegedly, I do have a private source, and they're telling me they have some confirmation, allegedly. And I know we've heard the same thing before numerous times. That's why I don't get excited anymore. I'm just sharing this, but I got some other notes I'm going to go over, but I'm just relaying what one of my sources told me. And I actually had somebody else that contacted me. By the way, I'll tell that story as well. I also get to you guys and acknowledge you all in the comment section. I see Kenneth Avery says, "Peace, brother Dorsey. God bless. God bless you as well. Peace to you." Abe Adame says, "Hey, brother. Peace to you. Blessings. Thank you guys for joining. Much love. Appreciate it." So basically, so I was trying to keep up with things. I got so much on my mind. It's been a while since I've actually done a video, but I'm going to go over the notes with you guys. By the way, see how I can. There's a way to. Okay, so let's see where I can take this off. Okay, so kind of had a situation where you kind of go brain dead for a minute, for a second. So what I was saying, what I was going over was one of my sources that I have was sharing with me. I'm trying to get how to figure out how to remove this layout. Trying to get this out the way. Oh well, I'm not going to worry about it. But one of my sources, my contacts that I have, said he spoke to someone earlier in the year who stated that they heard that things are close. Things, I would say, are definitely getting closer. By the way, well, one person who calls me like once every blue moon, literally, but I would say periodically, I definitely hear from them now more than one time a year. But kind of like every now and then, somebody I've known for quite a while, I may have mentioned. I won't really go into the details, but he told me a story that his son was in a barber shop recently or not too long ago, and he stated that his barber had stated to him that he picked up a certain amount of Iraqi dinars, by the way, and sounded really excited that this was getting ready to happen. And his son was aware of this because of his father. His father, the the guy who was having his haircut, I guess, his father is the one that told me the story. By the way, was relaying this to me. Now I'm gonna say I personally I let the person know a long time ago. I don't really get excited anymore because I already came to my conclusions. What was happening, why this was being held up. I did speak to a private banker some years ago. She is subscribed to this channel. We do follow each other, I believe, on some of our social media. I won't really go into details to keep, her private. I did look her up even before we had a conversation on Skype some years ago. We actually spoke for quite a while, and she's on. I would say she's on the East Coast, by the way, and she's actually working on, with things behind the scenes. And I looked her credentials up, and I let her know because I had kind of was into some other, the sovereign things, and because of her credentials, she knew what the type of information what I was speaking about was legitimate. It wasn't like where a lot of people that study in the sovereign movement, or they call sovereign citizens, or I call it redemption education, are not as educated or intelligent about. I'm actually an insider, by the way, but that's neither here nor there. That's a whole nother video. And I've already broke down how this information is hidden in a college class called business law, or business and the law. And I showed a book some years ago. I was one of the first to actually share that information and explain how. And because I heard there's this guy that has this YouTube channel called JT Pocket Watching, and I found out he interviewed Mansa not too long ago. And of course, Mansa, studies. He's really advanced studies in the sovereign movement. But a dude did a commentary. A guy that was part of the red pill community I happened to watch did a video about it, and I said this is one thing I didn't agree with him on. That the way he was downplaying Mansa. No, this stuff is legitimate because I did a video a long time ago explaining redemption education. I call it is how it is very legitimate. It's not made up gobbledygook. I know people that have had tremendous success, by the way. But if you're not in the know, you don't study this type of information, you won't know it all. And I'm not just saying that to say that. And you have con artists or scam artists in everything, every genre, whatever you may be into. By the way, you can't just lump everybody in one category or call something a scam. You have to produce evidence as well. But it's unconventional type of information that is not taught in the college universities. And there's some things I've held back from going into details about when I talked about the private sector in the past. Some people are already aware, they can read between the lines. But there's a distinction between the public and the private. You have to be careful from co-mingling. So I've had people ask me, even some relatives, when I went to a family cookout in Cleveland, Ohio, the weekend of August 2nd. I went to another one in early part of June 7th. That was on my mother's side of the family. This cookout was on my father's side, and a couple relatives, one asked me in particular, and it's really kind of hard to explain. Sometimes I don't go into as much detail, but the relative kind of inquired some more, and I try to explain. And some certain things are not going to seem they're going to seem definitely unconventional or seem scammy or scamish. But trust me, this is information I can prove the ruling class elite uses. I just recently had three of my trusts set up. I had to explain to someone they can operate from the public and private. They have the capability. I have a friend, he used to trade securities for a billionaire, meaning he has a security license. I was actually one of the first people years ago, not to just tote my horn, but I was on Yusuf's high frequency radio. If he still has those recordings from some years ago, I don't remember the exact year, even though I have a good memory. I brought this up to Yusuf years ago about the registered securities because I put my friend up on this information years ago. when he used to work for Genesis Financial under a lady named Natalie. I believe that was in Grosse Pointe, Michigan at the time, because I said, hey, you need to check out this information. And I was able to explain it. My friend was already open-minded. He's one of the smartest people that I know. So he was going to be able to comprehend and understand the information. You know how certain people you can't speak to because they're programmed, they're very conditioned. But I'm really good at deciphering people's skill sets. And someone I've known was my mentor, and I brought this information. He turned around and actually helped me out down the road in understanding what we were up against. And he said it opened his eyes up tremendously that when he worked for I think it was Vanguard Securities, or trying to think which firm. It was a popular name. It was another securities firm, but I know he traded securities for Mike Ilitch, by the way, who was a billionaire. He passed away, by the way. But my buddy told me he didn't realize that he actually traded. He was trading bonds, and you know, we can go more in depth. Did a video about the birth certificate, stuff like that. You guys can go back on this channel. They haven't removed that video, but YouTube did remove quite a few videos from this particular channel. This was my largest channel, by the way. I had over 8,000 subscribers. By the way, it was still growing as of a year ago, but I told you guys to go over to my new channel. Let me see if I can get this. I'm trying to get put this other display, my other display up. So I'm playing around with, I'm still learning this this software. I don't go live as much. Plus I'm using a free version, so it may not be as many features. I'm trying to have it where it shows my my layout. Let me see if that does anything. Okay, that's some other stuff. I'm just kind of playing around here, trying to remove that logo. I guess I should have maybe went to the comments later. This is how we'll do it. I'm gonna type it in my new channel at Dorsey's Resource 873. Make sure I spelled that right. Put that in there. Do it like that. Okay, that's the new channel. By the way, guys. So you see, go over there. Just be on standby. That's the new channel. I also have another announcement I put out previously. I plan on kind of sort of rebranding, where I'm going to do like maybe story time videos. But overall, down the road, if I get the ability to purchase better equipment, microphones, stuff like that, I had a graphics person on standby some years ago. A buddy of mine was going to help me like with the editing, production, things. I actually had bought a software years ago for both of us. He kind of played around with it. It was called Pinnacle. I still have it. It's probably outdated now because you know things went so fast. A lot of content creators, some people actually went to school for this type of work, so it's second nature. But when you're trying to grow a channel, it's content creation. Influencers have changed throughout the years as far as things that are catchy with people like. But YouTube has grown tremendously, by the way. And then you have other competing platforms that are out there. But I said a mouthful, so I told you guys the story about the GCR. So I'm gonna go over the title of the video again. Was supposed to be some new info on the GCR reset, but I wanted to discuss. I had it flipped around how a fake copyright enforcement claim is trying to shut the channel down. So in case it is legitimate, I don't know, but it appears as though it's kind of scammy. And I just wanted to let you guys know in case something happens over here, you guys will be able to find me over at the new channel that I just put up. Because like I say, I couldn't tell, but this appears like it may be scammy. Another thing about this fake copyright claim, the only video that I put music in was, if you guys remember the Illuminati video I did, that used to be my feature video, by the way. It has like well over 500 views now. I don't know what the exact number. It's still, the last time I checked, it's still up, and it was royalty free. I showed a friend of mine where YouTube recommended, like they had a whole list of different videos. So that shouldn't have never. If that's the video that they were trying to take down or claim, that was actually royalty free. And YouTube had a list of music like that because I created a folder, and this is why years ago I never wanted to really use music. I had even people come to me, one guy that was like independent producer, because say if sometimes if you fall out with someone, or say because you got all the rap beefs and stuff like that, similarly, then a person may come out to be spiteful. They may want to say, hey, you use my music or whatever, and just file a claim against you. Then I heard other big influencers, content creators years ago, where people just didn't like their content, were being spiteful, would just file copyright claims to try to take their channel down, by the way. But I did hear YouTube actually checks, by the way, because of a lot of that stuff that went on. They actually, that's a better thing now, because people used to get away with it a lot, like especially polarizing creators years ago that discuss particular topics, especially I would say in the red pill or dating community, and it wasn't favorable to certain markets, certain genres. I hear they would just attack the person's channel all of a sudden, or get, if they had a large following, like over 700,000 followers, over 1 million followers, and they were beefing with a smaller channel, they would tell their followers to go over there and try to take that channel down or hit it with false claims. But I do hear now, because of so much of that went on in the past, that allegedly YouTube, aka Google, Alphabet, their parent company, actually investigates those claims now. And then some people actually have hired lawyers and attorneys and stuff like that that have actually gotten their channels back, and then countersued for things I've heard people have had success with as well. There was one content creator in the red pill community, for example. You guys may not think this is important, but this is the stuff that we content creators, influencers, that I know about behind the scenes, even though this channel only got to a certain level. But I looked at and researched stuff like this. But there was a guy in the red pill community. His channel goes by the name Red Supreme. And I remember one day he told all his listeners that there was a large content creator who was like a feminist that went by the name Paris Milan. I know she was allies with Chrissy's Way channel. I don't know if she still is, by the way, but these are like females that were part of what they call the divester community, where they would divest. Now they use a term where they're decentering men, by the way, but they're feminists, and they have different variations of their ideology, where some teach women to level up or become gold diggers or that. But Red Supreme had mentioned, because he had lawyers on his channel, that YouTube had to contact them, that Paris Milan had filed a false claim to try to take his, and he got her name. And the only reason he was able to announce her name, they said it was so egregious that when he shared this information with the audience, that YouTube, they had already caught on to this, because there's other guys I can name that actually are completely banned or kicked off YouTube. Some of them did make some mistakes, or one in particular did something I found out he wasn't supposed to do, but I won't go into that. That's neither here nor there. But YouTube, like I said, they actually investigate, and he was contacted because they said it became a legal issue, because she filed, it was false, basically a false, like filing a false police report. Oh, by the way, because now YouTube, people make, content creators, influencers make several hundred thousands. People that have large followings, that know how to brand themselves, that have been around or kept their followings, and have a niche or part of certain genres, do really well. If you know what your niche is, and they're consistent, by the way. So I've known for what it takes. I still punch a clock, work a regular job, but I'm still just telling you guys that story, because you guys may not understand what us content creators, influencers have to deal with behind the scenes. Some of the things I've had people ask me for advice in the past about how they should go about starting the channel, or whatever, and I would just give little tidbits. And I've always said one thing: you have to be consistent, and they've changed throughout the years. Like when YouTube added the shorts now, that's important. It helps your channel. They added the live feature, so not only you have regular videos you can upload, you have live. you have YouTube Shorts, and then you have like there's a part where you can upload photos and stuff like that. But I'm gonna get to the updated info on the GCR. Pontificated enough. So this is what I do here. Some of this is from one of my private sources. They're planning. There appears to be a planned cyber attack to be created by the evil, sinister cabal to attack the general public's crypto wallets and etc. to keep them from becoming rich. Also, this cyber attack can be utilized to shut down, cause electrical outages and things of that sort, which would disrupt people. You know, most average Americans and people don't have backup generators and things. This is one of the things. But my source stated that to me that once regulations come about, they plan on changing the whole banking system over to digital. By the way, they're transitioning away from paper currency. It's going to be phased out down the road. They're going to stop calling cryptos the official term they're going to use. They're already using it. They're going to be referred to as digital assets. By the way, not virtual currency, cryptocurrency, but digital assets. So my source stated from the notes I have that once the regulations come about, there's even though there's bills and stuff that got passed, they're going to eventually plan on going after cold storage wallets as well. My source warned me. He also said that if you already want or you already have a cold storage wallet, you're already grandfathered in. However, they could create laws that would make manufacturers ban the sale of cold storage wallets for the future. So you have to be careful. This is very important information I'm going over right now for those that may be watching. I see we only got 4, but this is really important that may be involved in crypto because whether you like it or not, I wasn't a big fan of this, but down the road, this is something that the elites, I would say the good cabal had to implement because the evil criminal cabal had gotten a lot out of hand with how, you know, the transparency, there was not an audit of the Federal Reserve, the criminality that's happening. So they had to create a whole nother alternative. And this is happening overseas. And I hear eventually both banking systems are going to be merged. They're going to phase out the SWIFT system as part of the old legacy financial system. And it's going to eventually it's going to get merged. You also have the BRICS system that stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and the QFS, which is connected to XRP, which works as a bridge to connect both the quantum financial system. By the way, it's going to pave the way and set the way for the new financial system. That's why they're telling people XRP is basically going to be the new Bitcoin. By the way, and from what I was told, and I actually sold quite a bit of it, my source, but I'm diversified in other areas of my portfolio too, by the way, just being transparent. I actually sold some more recently, by the way. I know my source wouldn't like that, but I'm just, it is for what it is. And I made like maybe at least a 3x. I was well over maybe 3 times the amount of what I originally bought in at. XRP was still up, even though it pulled back a bit not too long ago from going up, hitting I think another all-time high not too long ago, or matching whatever it was at when it was well over $3.30 or something like that, above that. But it's going to be part of the new financial system, I'm being told. By the way, so one of the things my source warned me of is that they could the regulations, they could plan to go after cold storage wallets. And he said, if you don't already, if you already hold have some on there, you can possibly be, you're probably going to be grandfathered in. But, you know, once the regulations and stuff come down, kind of like with Bitcoin, as it grew down the road and started to become more expansive, they did things to make it more difficult for people. Because I told a friend of mine years ago told me, and I didn't even know how to invest in Bitcoin. He was supposed to get back with me, and I didn't know anything about Coinbase or nothing like that. So he told me he was actually in California. He was from Detroit, but he had moved out there. He was going to college. He eventually became a professor. I think he's a principal of a school now. I haven't been in touch with him in a while. He used to train at the martial arts school I used to train at years ago, and we met back up. He actually came over my apartment briefly. He actually served in the U.S. Marines, by the way, as well. And yeah, he shared with me some years ago. He told me he didn't really go into all the details, but he went to like some type of private or special meeting some years ago. And I know this is why certain people were kept privy to Bitcoin or only knew about it, but it's much deeper because it's tied in with the National Security Agency and this guy. I can't think of the name. The Swartz guy. I can't think of his first name. But a friend of mine was telling me about the symbolism. But a buddy of mine had shared this with me. This was well over a decade ago. I had a conversation with, and it's all hindsight is always 2020. And it was on me. I didn't follow up with him, but he told me back then because I told him I said I don't know how to buy it. I wanted to buy some at the time because I had invested in wasted over $1,300 I lost with Profitable Sunrise at the time, which was connected to a lady out of Ohio named Judy Harkins, which was connected to Pastor Tony King from the Pastor Tony King seminars. And when that went really viral, there was basically a rug pull, like a lot of other stuff, pyramid scams, MLMs, by the way, went through a lot of those. You live and you learn. But I was trying to invest in Bitcoin some years ago, and I simply didn't know. But was done intentionally on purpose. They kept this secret. But my sources telling me XRP is going to play a major role, part of the new banking system. So if they ban cold storage wallets, this will make it more difficult to move your crypto off a private exchange and make it extremely more difficult to use decentralized exchanges, etc. By the way, because you can't trust those, because they say if it's on an exchange, it's not your cryptos, you don't own it because they have access to the private keys. Each one of these cryptos, if you go, there was a way, I don't know if you still could do this, I haven't checked, but if you go on your regular Coinbase wallet, there was a way to check and look at like what's supposed to be your private keys, but because it's on that public exchange, say if something happens, like we've heard of FTX, Voyager, then you had these exchanges some years ago that were like high yield savings accounts. By the way, I'm trying to think of the name of a couple that got shut down. There was actually YouTubers that used to promote them. Celsius was, I think, was called one of them. There was another exchange. I can't think of the name. People used to promote and swear up and down, and I was always skeptical. And I'm glad I never because some people lost quite a bit of money, especially with Voyager. I know actually the guy, the source I told you about, where his son was in a barber shop and his barber said he was purchasing Iraqi dinar. My source told me he lost money on Voyager because there's been a lot of rug pulls throughout the years. So I also say it's potentially a blessing in disguise that I didn't know about Bitcoin. I didn't know how to buy it back then because I would have known about all these different exchanges throughout the years and even about the cold storage thing. By the way, that's a whole nother thing. But I was able to connect the pieces from some years ago, and some people still don't understand that. By the way, so I'm gonna go from my other notes. Okay, I went over that. So my source also mentioned to me that if you're like on these public exchanges, they can do a rug pull all of a sudden. Like they want to price the dinar and the dong up around the same time that Bitcoin explodes because they also don't want people double dipping. They want this global currency reset. They want everything to go at one time. I remember TNT Tony used to talk about this some years ago, or used to go over this, but they don't want people double dipping. They want everything to go at once. By the way, so this is why they're timing this in a way where once, and this is probably going to be around the time when XRP starts to go up and explode. I hear XRP is also going to be connected to. Let me see if I can get another book. Hold on. Drop this camera up. because this thumbnail is getting in the way. Let's see if I can prop this up a little bit. Okay. Okay. Let me see if I can prop this up a little bit more. Okay. Okay. So going from the notes here, so my source mentioned once again they could do a rug pull all of a sudden. Like if you have your cryptos on these public exchanges and you don't have a cold storage wallet, you have to be careful because that's the part of the retail speculative market, by the way. Also, once again, I went over this. The reason he said they don't want people double dipping, so you would be stuck with the currency you already have to prevent you from becoming super mega wealthy like the Rothschilds or Rockefellers. They still don't want you competing with the Rockefellers and Rothschilds. So he was stating that you better get while the getting is good, especially with the ISO coins. I would say, admit I'm guilty of this. Even though I was trying to focus on that, I wasn't really on the inside. But when it went up last November, I had held for a number of years and I was tired of waiting. So I did take profits kind of for the first time. Just mainly with XRP. I didn't sell. I had some of the other coins I kept in one of my cold hot wallets, as they call one of them, or whatever. So going over the other important information. So once again, you said the reason they don't want you double dipping, so you would stay stuck with the currency that you already have, because once everything's going to become tokenized. By the way, that's another thing. It's a key word, tokenization. As to my understanding, whatever you're holding, it's going to actually turn into like a lot of things. It's going digital, so it's literally like, say, if you have 100,000 worth of XRP right now, or say it becomes tokenized by this October, for example, that's 100,000. You can use that as cash and say if it's worth more than the purchasing power, like just like a foreign currency, it's worth, let's say XRP is worth $10 to every dollar. Multiply that 100,000 coins that you're holding, that's 1 million if it becomes tokenized. By the way, if you get the logic or get the math, when these coins, and only certain coins are going to survive. From what I was told privately, only certain coins have been chosen. There are some other ones that are going to make it through, but there's going to be a lot of coins that are going to disappear, that are going to fall to the wayside. So I don't know exactly when that's going to occur, how, but I hear it's coming soon. We may have like about a year left, or maybe less than a year. Maybe I would be careful going into next year. It appears like we're on a certain timeline, what Cliff High has talked about from the Woo guy, his Webbot report, by the way. So going over the rest of the information, I heard some regulations passed recently regarding stable coins. However, they are working on more tough measures for down the road in the near future that will cause a bunch of crypto to disappear under the new banking system. That's just what I went over, by the way. So I'm going to go over that again. I heard allegedly some regulations passed recently regarding stable coins. However, they are working on more tough measures for down the road in the near future that will cause a bunch of cryptos to disappear under the new banking system. So once again, I was informed, you want to be invested in the chosen coins. You want to be careful with the meme coins, stuff that's like really sketchy. Stick with stuff that has utility, that has use case, or particularly the ones that have been chosen. The ones I know offhand are like XRP, Stellar Lumens, HBAR, that's Hedera Hashgraph, which has a lot of partnerships with major corporations, just like stocks, by the way. Cryptos are basically another form, almost comparable with stocks, interchangeable. It's a digital asset. HBAR, Hedera Hashgraph, has a lot of utility. If you look up, there's a map, all the major corporations. It's connected to Google, even has a connection to XRP. Some of these coins, they have interoperability. They're going to be working as a bridge with each other, part of the whole new banking system. I'm not in control of this, by the way. I'm just sharing this with you guys. I know some people are mad or upset. They don't like it, but I was told that this is going to happen whether we like it or not. This is what the faction of the good cabal that's basically going up against the Federal Reserve, that has been a problem because they have not been audited. They've been causing problems for years, like they have not accepted negotiable instruments and things, doing a lot of criminal stuff, and they've never been audited. So this, I hear, this new system is being brought in place to combat the evil criminal cabal that's connected to BlackRock and others who've been basic corporate landlords that have been causing rent prices, stuff like that, to skyrocket. Larry Fink, who says they want to get rid of private home and car ownership, stuff like that. But this is part of their whole scheme, by the way. Also, let me see, he mentioned, my source mentioned that once this takes place, I already mentioned a bunch of cryptos are going to disappear under the new banking system. My source also mentioned once this takes place, a bunch of coins will get decoupled from Bitcoin. And I interpret this as meaning these particular altcoins won't rise again or gain momentum when Bitcoin gets higher. They control all this behind the scenes. They control, just like they control the currencies, what goes up. There's people that work certain private jobs behind the scenes that control the rates. These markets are manipulated too. Like I could tell recently, but there's people that I've heard discussions with the some of the elites, the good cabal, or people in the private sector that basically they're under non-disclosure agreements. People that mention they work certain jobs. I have a friend that works in the IT field and says there's another level to IT where there's people that deal with like this other separate internet they have that's like on a military level. And he says you have to be specially trained. It's like by invitation only. He doesn't even know how he learned about it. How do you even apply for it or recruit? But they have certain jobs that are exclusive that stay private. But I can figure this out, that they control the prices behind all these coins. This is not a coincidence. They're in control of everything is controlled, by the way. That's just something I'm giving you guys a major game. So he mentioned once this takes place, a bunch of cryptos they're going to get rid of because they're not going to be part of the chosen ISO coins. That's XDC, HBAR. I hear Cardano might survive. I'm hearing they may allow Cardano to survive. Some coins that maybe have partnerships or use case utility, but it's still not a guarantee, may make it through when the dust settles. But they say there's over 10,000 or around 10,000 cryptos, and a lot of them are going to go away. There's only going to be a handful that are going to survive. That's why it's important to diversify your portfolio as well. And that's a whole nother discussion. But part of that, you want to be focused on or have a separate bag that focuses on the ISO coins. That's Hedera Hashgraph, XDC, Algorand is another one I forgot about. Quant, but Quant is like up there in price, but I don't mention Quant too much. Someone brought that to my attention a long time ago. Quant is already up there in price, but Algorand is still really cheap. HBAR is still at a good price. XDC. Only tricky thing is with some of these coins like XDC, you can only purchase it on certain exchanges. And like I said, when the regulations come down, my source is also harping on you better have it on a cold storage wallet or at least have a separate bag on standby, because they're going to get rid of, once this is being implemented. And this is part of the whole reset that's going to unfold. This is what I'm being told. This is being confirmed. They all want this to go at once, by the way. The timing of this, you're seeing it's gradually taking place. But that's why, and I was upset about it some years ago. I felt they should have at least allowed the dinar to revalue, so we would have had the money and stuff to set up to purchase our expensive trust, stuff like that. And when I was part of that private clandestine operation and they locked the black card or turned it off that I accessed, Then they had recruited a new group and just threw us to the wayside. I just felt that was really dirty, but that's a whole separate video. I've already done a lot of videos about that. I may do a recap again because that's going to be something I'm never going to forget. That sits in the back of my mind. By the way, I feel it was disingenuous, very disingenuous how that all went down. And we were promised that we would receive our packages back by Pastor Tony King, aka Tony Fisher. That included when I submitted my birth certificate, my DTC eligibility questionnaire, my package, my DDC forms, my thumb drive that was submitted. We were promised, given an ironclad guarantee, we will receive those documents back. I'm being told that Gary Colombo has that information, but I don't have his contact information. Anybody, if they happen to be listening, let me know. Because at least if you're not going to cash us out and get me funded, at least give me my damn package back, my information I submitted, because I was told, informed by a private source, that could be identity theft or securities fraud for holding on, when promises were made and funding. But I hear this is allegedly while this is being stalled, and I've waited well over 10 years, and there's people that have even died waiting on this. But there's no doubt in my mind that I believe my source, buddy called me, that the guy that told me his story about his son in the barbershop, by the way, he still has his doubts. But I told him there is no doubt in my mind that the dinar, the Vietnamese dong, it's going to eventually revalue. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. I just don't get excited anymore. I don't do videos about it, guys. I apologize if that's what you come here, you want to see, because that's what I started my channel. I did a lot of videos earlier on. I don't talk about that as much anymore, but this is what they changed the whole banking system around, and it's still unfolding. But I'm giving you guys the game. This is free game right here, by the way. And I no longer have access to this channel's back office, so this is not something I would feel comfortable even putting on Patreon. I never got to that. I went through sabotage throughout the years, not only from the Pastor Tony King seminars. They didn't want me doing videos. They didn't want me going public. When my job found out I was doing videos, I told you guys, if some of you guys that have followed me and my work and remember me from back then knows what happened with my employer. They were the other ones I was facing pushback, where basically the guy that took over as my operations manager. Now, he did take up for me with the other lady that was in place when I got in trouble and I had to report to them at the time. But he said they didn't want me doing videos at all, like even when I was not at work, which you guys can clearly see I'm not at work, I'm not in uniform, but shows you there's an agenda to keep people brainwashed, to keep you punching the clock. Because I've been working throughout all these years. So there's been an agenda to try to keep me stagnant. It's like very evil spirits I've dealt with. So not only from the Pastor Tony King seminars, they didn't want to get us funded yet, but he didn't want me making money doing YouTube videos, by the way. Then my employer I faced pushback from. Then the YouTube, which is controlled by the criminal evil cabal that took my other channel down over so-called cyberbullying and harassment, but never told me specifically, or they didn't go through the 3-strike rule system as they claim, and just took my channel down unknowingly, which affected this channel. By the way, this is the dirty stuff that I've gone through just to share with you guys. And this has happened to other big legacy content creators, influencers, who've already migrated to other platforms like Rumble, Brighteon, which I did a video warning you guys about. That was still my feature video on this channel, where I was able to get the word out, by the way. And I'm glad those people are doing well, but I was just burnt out throughout the years. When I'm basically like fighting against giants. It's only so much you can take, so much you can deal with. You can be one of the strongest people, but it's, they're overwhelming. They're very well connected, and they're very well thought out. My friend that studied the Illuminati mentions their plans go 200 years into the future. These people are very methodical. They met on Jekyll Island years ago. They set up the Federal Reserve Act in 1913. That led to the bankruptcy in 1933, the precursor to the Emergency War Powers Act. That was around the time they set up the Social Security Act. Other significant things happened around that time period. By the way, you had the Trading with the Enemy Act of 1917 as well. So there's a lot that was done to sabotage your average Americans, everyday citizens, to keep them from growing their wealth, keep them from becoming wealthy, or being able to compete on a level that the people my friend calls in the shadows, the private sector. By the way, so I'm going to finish up. I'm going to get to the rest of these notes. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you're welcome to chime in, jump in the comment section after I finish going over these notes. So my source mentioned lastly, I'm gonna go over this again. He mentioned once this takes place, a bunch of coins are going to get decoupled from Bitcoin. And I interpret this as meaning these particular altcoins, they won't normally rise or gain momentum when Bitcoin gets higher. Now, we have yet to see anything like this. It would be a big surprise that would catch many off guard if something like this takes place. My source is adamant it will eventually happen and has been warning me for quite some time to move my digital assets to a cold storage wallet. He recently advised me, and I would say well over a year, I should get additional cold storage wallets because he anticipates once the regulations come down the road, they will ban them entirely. But if you already have them, you'll be grandfathered in, like I mentioned. But by not allowing manufacturers to no longer make them, this is how they'll price people out. They'll cut people off. So once they're sold out, that could be it. And the prices most likely to get a hold of them would cause a demand that would skyrocket for any that are left for sale on the market potentially. Once again, he said, if you already own a cold storage wallet, then most likely you will already be grandfathered in. However, you still would be responsible for reporting capital gains taxes. That's another thing I was informed, allegedly, that artificial intelligence is going to be taking over the IRS. By the way, they're going to be eliminating a lot of jobs. I hear in the next couple months, the IRS is no longer accepting negotiable instruments or paper checks anymore. By the way, that could be a problem for those in the sovereign movement that use negotiable instruments to discharge or set off debt or whatever. But I'm being told that a lot of jobs are going to be eliminated. Artificial intelligence is taking over. They can do a better job, and it's going to get smarter, and it's going to replace a lot of people. There's still going to be flaws with it at first, but the way it's set up, it'll be able to, look in and do audits or tell whether or not they say they can see all transactions, stable coins and things of that sort. But I'm not here to give tax or legal advice. I didn't normally give a disclaimer, but this video is for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. Please understand everyone's individual circumstance or situation may be different. It's up to every individual competent person. So please do his or her own homework and research into the matter being discussed. This information is not to be construed as legal advice, tax advice, securities advice. Any event you feel you need to seek a competent professional, it is encouraged that you do so at one's own leisure. Dorsey's Resource Channel or my newer channel is not liable or responsible for anyone's misuse of the information. This applies to all my videos. Any public information that I go over, you are responsible for your own commercial affairs. With that being said, all rights are reserved. So that's my disclaimer. And that's pretty much it, guys. So this is the final call. I just wanted to let you guys know I went over the title of this video was titled Some New Info on the GCR Reset. Hopefully I provided some clarification. You guys were able to, comprehend the information I went over well enough. And this is also, I gave a warning how potentially a fake copyright enforcement claim is trying to shut the channel down. So if you guys see if this channel does go down, you guys know what happened, by the way. But I think a lot of this is being timed, but that could be scammy. I went over, if you want to know what I went over, just go to the beginning of this video, by the way. So that's pretty much it. I want to thank you guys for rocking with me. May have, hopefully some newer videos for you guys down the road. I wanted to do a story time video I mentioned previously, but that more so would be like a video. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that video to go live, but I want to do different story time videos where I kind of tell you guys for past experiences, for motivation, and just to kind of document my life story, my journey. Well, thank you guys. Until next time, peace out.